Hello, I'd like to call the October 17th, 2024 Santa Fe County Planning Commission meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Here.
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 Thank you. Let's all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. My name is Eric Obo. I'm actually the vice chair, but Chair Gonzalez is unable to chair, has a slight cough, and so let's proceed. So I wonder, we'd like to approve the agenda, and I wonder, staff, are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, there are no changes. And for the record, the agenda was posted October 11, 2024 before 12 o'clock.
Thank you very much. So may I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please. We do roll calls? Oh, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. So next, we have approval of the minutes, and there are two sets of minutes. Let's take them individually. First, I'd like a motion to approve the August 19th, 2024 meeting minutes.
August 15th.
I'm sorry, August 15th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Okay, I motion to approve the
I'll
August.
second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, I'll request a motion to approve the September 19th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Okay, a motion to approve the September 19th meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. We have the consent agenda.
Can we approve those both at the same time?
I believe we can make a single motion to approve the two items on the consent agenda. May I get such a motion?
Yeah, I motion to approve the two consent cases, the first one 245040 and the second 245100, to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have new business. We have case number 245150, Marianne Andrews applicant, requesting a variance of table 7A. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commission. Destiny Romero, Building and Development Review Specialist. Marianne Andrews, applicant, requests a variance of Chapter 7, Section 7.3.3.7 and Table 7A to allow two residential structures to encroach onto the required setback of a proposed property line. The applicant is also requesting a variance of Chapter 7, Section 7.3.3.7. The dwelling to the northwest will be 17 feet from the property line, while the dwelling to the southeast will be 23 feet from the proposed property line. The structure currently encroaching on the existing property line is 24.07 feet into the setback. The property is within the residential estate zoning district. Table 7A illustrates that the setback in residential estate is 25 feet from the sides and the rear of the parcel and 10 feet from the front of the parcel. The property lies within the Tres Arroyos de Poniente Community District overlay. The site is located at 68 Calle Enrique within Township 17 North, Range 8 East, Section 25. The applicant met with staff to submit her setback variance on June 7th, 2024. The applicant is requesting a variance of Chapter 7, Section 7.3.3.7 and Table 7A setback table to allow two dwellings and an accessory structure to be less than the minimum side setback in the residential estate zoning district. The applicant states that the property was purchased in November 2005, recorded in the clerk's office with instrument number 1407568, recorded on November 14, 2005. The property was originally used by the previous owner and is a family compound and horse facility. The applicant states that for the last 2 years, she has been attempting to sell the property in the manner that it was originally used for. Applicant has stated that she has found that circumstances and times have changed since the original use of the property. In the applicant's letter, she states that her health and finances have diminished and her intent is to sell the larger adobe home while she moves into the smaller home next to it. The applicant has addressed the variance criteria and staff has responded to the applicant's comments as contained in the memo. On September 12, 2024, this request was presented to the Sustainable Land Development Hearing Officer. The hearing officer memorialized findings of fact and conclusions of law in a recommended order on this request. The hearing officer, based on the evidence presented, recommended approval of the applicant's variance be granted. Building and Development Services staff has reviewed this request for compliance with pertinent SLDC requirements and has found that the facts presented do not support the request for a variance. Staff recommends denial of the request for a variance to allow the two dwellings and one accessory structure to be less than the minimal side setback for residential estate zoning district, Chapter 7, Section 7.3.3.7 and Table 7A. If the Planning Commission finds the variance criteria has been met and recommends approval of the variance, staff recommends the following conditions be imposed. Mr. Chair and Commission, may I enter the conditions into the record?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. I stand for any questions.
Are there any questions of staff?
I have a question. So the lot has already been split? The parcel's been approved for splitting it in two, or is this part of the variance?
Mr. Chair, Commission, no, ma'am. The lot hasn't been split. They would like to split the lot, but in order for them to split the lot, they would need this variance request.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions of staff? I have a question. In your staff memo, you indicated that there are two variance requests. Are those for the two residences on either side of the proposed property line?
Mr. Chair, so the request is actually for 3 variances. One request is each for a setback with the proposed property line, which is attached as an exhibit. The third request is for the current structure that's labeled barn, does not currently meet the setbacks from that current property line.
Right. And so just could you clarify that the parcel that is to be split, if approved, and the other parcel very close to the barn are both owned by the same owner?
Mr. Chair, that is correct.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? Is the applicant here, and would you wish to make a statement?
Thank you. Hi. Yes. Yes. Marianne Andrews, 68 Calle Enrique, Santa Fe. Thank you. So, I have been desperately trying to sell the property as I acquired it. And because of today's whole look at how people are looking at buying. I've run through 3 realtors and have had no luck. So it's been actually over 2 years. And finally, the last realtor I had said you would have better luck if you could divide the properties. So one house would be on 2.5 acres, the other house that I'm in right now on 2.5 acres. Now, when everything was built, it was all built according to regulation. And so things changed like everything does, and now we've got the difference between the 2 homes, and there is a certain amount of landscape that makes it nice, okay? It's not like just brick and mortar. So I'm asking that you consider that because my age, my finances, all that has changed. And it's beginning to be, it's beginning to be a bit of a burden. And that's how this whole thing started. So that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant?
I've got some questions. I was going to ask you, are the utilities shared with both houses? What kind of utilities do you have? Are they separate utilities for each house, or some are shared?
So right now, I got the approval for meter separation. And I'm working with an electrician to do a meter for each home. So that's in the works right now. There is a single well, and it will be shared. The property that has the big barn on it and the little cabin, which is its own little parcel of 5.5 acres, has its own well. So whoever buys the property can either go into the share, which is going to be in documentation, or they can choose to pipe from the well that's existing that I put in into the rest of their property. So that'll be their choice. And then everything else is on septic, and the septic is all separate.
Do you have permits for those septic systems?
Yes, I do, everything, yes.
Have they been inspected recently, or will be inspected at some point?
I'm assuming everything was inspected and done when I bought the place. So when I put in all the information, I just submitted all the things that I know to be there. So I don't know how that works. I don't know who would, I'm assuming that if there's not a need for change, I don't know who would inspect at that point. But everything's the same.
Yeah, because I'm familiar with, you bought your property like in 2007.
No, I bought it in 2005.
Okay, 2005. That
Yeah.
was like almost 20 years ago. And
I
the
know.
regulations have changed. And before a property can be sold, they have to have a septic system inspected.
So,
That's a requirement.
so one of the things I can tell you is that the previous owner had to update the whole septic system for the larger home, which is the Adobe home. That's all that's all I know. The little house I'm in has its own, and then the cabin has its own septic.
The other question I had, who advised you to split the lot the way you did? I mean, I see they were split between
It's
two
crazy.
houses.
It's crazy. And so what happened, when I bought the property, the previous owner was not forthright with me about the cabin being a home. They said everything was legal, and then later on I found out it wasn't. And I had invested money into upgrading things in it. And so when I went to get a new survey on it, in order to comply with regulations with the county in that area as to what it needed to be on, 5.5 acres, it wasn't a good split. So the survey company did what you see, which is crazy, but that was to make it in regulations. So I wish it could have been different, but it's not.
The other question I had, I read in the packet that you own the 5 acres adjoining your property. Is that correct?
I own all of it, yes.
So is that undeveloped? The 5 acres is undeveloped? or-
No, that's, there's a little cabin, and I don't know if you can tell on your information, but there's a little cabin, and then there's a 2-story barn. And that's where they did all of the horse boarding and training and foaling before I bought it. So
So you own 10 acres in that area?
I own 10 and a half, yes.
What are you going to do with you're going to split up this property into 2.5 acre lots. What are you going to do with the future, for the other 5 acres that you have?
Well, so the home that I have the 2 homes that I'm asking for the variance, each one is going to be on 2.5 acres. I'm going to live in the smaller of the 2, and then the other parcel, which is 5.5 acres, is the cabin and the barn. And then it has a site all the way on top that is really good for development. Someone can still build a home on it. So,
But that's not going to be you.
no, it's not going to be me, no.
Okay, that's, I did have a question for staff now that I recall that. Destiny, are you available? If this lot split, well, the lot split is already approved, right? Or is eligible to be approved. That's not a variance here. Now, when they have 2.5 acre tracts, can they build a second home on each 2.5 acres, or is it just going to be the same way it is now, existing?
Mr. Chair, Commission, I believe the applicant will be able to get an accessory dwelling unit. Accessory dwelling unit.
So there's going to be like potentially 4 houses on those, on the 5 acres, or 2 houses on each 2.5 acres. Is that possible? Is that what they?
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Chair.
Commission, that's correct.
That is correct, but they'll have to comply with conditions, and that's the size requirements and setbacks as well.
Okay. I guess those are all the questions I have. I'm concerned that there's going to be 4 houses. Well, there's 2 houses on the 5 acres now, and I'm concerned that with this split, that they can be allowed to build 2 extra houses. That's what I'm concerned, the density. And I don't know what kind of water they have out there, the wells. So I don't mind the lot split. It's just that the increased density, that's what I'm concerned about.
Rightfully so. And so if you look at the house that I'm in, the proposed survey split, it's really crazy. There is no logistic way to put a home on the one that I want as my property. There's no way. So the other property, in selling the home, my intent is to sell it to somebody who doesn't want to build another home, that they would rather prefer build maybe a barn instead, because the area that I'm in is still really good for animal husbandry, whether it's a horse or a goat or a chicken. And so, and most of the people that are in my area are just into having the land and not getting involved in building more. Now, the other property, the 5.5 acres with the cabin and the big barn, that's an idea. I mean, that would be 5.5 acres. If somebody wanted to split it down the road, it would be 2.5 acres per. And I don't know how that would be split. I don't even want to think about it. But so that's kind of what I'm looking at. Here again, my parcel, there's no logistical way to put another home, even a casita, based on the layout of everything the way it is. Because behind my house, there is, and it's listed as a barn, but it's not. It's a garage and it's a workshop that's on my parcel. And so there's not much land in front, there's not much land in back of my house, but it all runs jagged and then into across the Arroyo area. So nobody's going to use that. Nobody could build there anyway. So that's kind of I don't see that happening, honestly.
Thank you. Yes,
Chair, Commissioners, if the concern is density, y'all can add a condition that no ADUs be allowed on this property if the lot split is approved.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Jordan?
You could put a condition that ADUs would not be allowed on this property with a lot split approval.
thank you, Jordan.
So the only parcel that could potentially have some development on it would be that 5-acre property.
Thank you, and I'd like to note the conditions that staff recommended that are entered in the record are that no applicant shall comply with fire marshal conditions of approval, no further subdivision of the parcels will be allowed, and any expansion of either building shall comply with setback requirements. And so, Jordan, you're indicating that we could, if we wanted to, recommend an additional condition that accessory dwelling units on either parcel are not allowed?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Good condition.
Any further questions? Any questions of staff? So, yes, so there are two variances. And correct me if I'm wrong, the two variances are to allow the adobe house and the smaller house to be closer to the new lot line, as well as the barn to the lot line between the jagged parcel and the 5-acre parcel. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, Commission, it's 3 variances that are being requested, a variance for each of the setbacks.
Got it. What is the wish of the commission?
Any public?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to speak? This is a public hearing. Anyone here who would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this request? Is there anyone online?
Chairman, there is nobody online indicating they wish to speak.
And could I, may I ask, at the public hearing, at the hearing officer hearing, were there any speakers in opposition or support of this?
Mr. Chair, we did not have anybody in opposition nor in support of this variance.
Thank you very much. So, hearing no interest in public comment, let's close the public hearing. And now, what's the wish of the commission?
Well, I do a motion, but I'm still trying to figure out the two variances. They're for setbacks, right? Both the ones are for setbacks.
Mr. Chair, Commission, that is correct.
Okay. All right, so I motion to approve case 245150, approving the variances for the 2 setbacks for the 2 properties. Is that correct?
It's
Mr.
3 setbacks. So it's
setbacks.
1 setback for each of the structures.
Okay.
I would second that.
Okay.
I would
So
second your motion.
Okay.
So we have a motion to approve 3 setbacks, and we
Yes.
have a second?
We have a second and have discussion.
Any interest in, any questions from the commission?
I wanted
Mr.
to
Chair.
include the condition of no accessory dwelling allowed. That's
That's
the
right.
4th condition.
So we'll include the 3 conditions and the additional condition on no additional accessory dwellings on the 2 properties.
So do we need to amend the motion?
Or is it a separate motion?
Or is that a friendly amendment to your motion?
I think that would be considered a friendly amendment. So the motion would be to approve the 3 variances for setbacks
And add
with
a-
staff's conditions plus the condition of no ADUs allowed on the properties.
On either of the split properties?
Yes. Right.
And do you still second?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Discussion. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing no opposition, motion passes. Thank you.
No?
Okay. Staff, are there any matters, any other petitions from the floor? Any communication from commission members?
None.
I would just like to ask staff about our upcoming agendas. If I could, I just wonder if you can tell us what's on the docket for the next few months. If you know.
Chair, Commissioners, I don't think we have a lot of cases. I think we have like a couple of them trickling in. We are getting ready for AES. We're going to look at the cases, and more than likely, since we're having a special meeting in February for AES, we will probably not hold our regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting that month. And it will just depend on the caseload. We are doing that for hearing officer. There will be no hearing officer in December because of the special meeting for that.
And can you remind us again when, where,
So right now, the meeting is set for February 4th. The date is set in stone. We are in the process, and I should be able to send y'all emails out next week with more details. We are trying to have it at the convention center because of the space needed, and we are working at trying to start the meeting earlier than 4 o'clock. I think we're trying for 1 o'clock. Legal was checking to make sure that we are good on that.
and how far ahead of the meeting do you believe you'll be able to get materials to us?
We should be able to have materials to y'all at least 2 weeks before the meeting.
Okay,
Did you say there was something available already?
If y'all go to the county website, all of their submittal package is available online. Their new submittal is available online. If you go to the growth management page,
Okay.
there is a link for solar facilities. You click on that, and then it will take you to the AES page, which will take you to their complete submittal package.
okay. If you wouldn't mind, if you could email that to us, that'd be
that
great.
Sure
be
can.
great.
I can do that.
Thank you very much. And you said February 4?
5th, I think.
Sorry.
February
February 4th.
4th.
Yes.
Oh, I had it on the 5th.
Sorry, no getting out of it. And so, the next meeting,
Commissioner Chair, Planning Commission members, I just wanted to add to that. So we had 3 items last week for hearing officer that will go next month. And then we should have 1 in December as well for Planning Commission.
okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Vice Chair, if I may be recognized, question for staff, probably Mr. Persino. I noticed that there will be a virtual meeting about AES soon. And I wondered what is the protocol if planning commissioners want to log in, listen to those proceedings.
Thank you, Dan.
Chair and Co-Chair, and Commissioner Pava, we will look into that more carefully and probably come out with a formal statement on that matter. My initial thinking is that listening in might, be an appropriate level of participation or non-participation, if you will. But that any sort of formal appearance or active participation, will almost certainly be discouraged.
Yeah, I appreciate getting some guidance on that, as you could have a situation where you have a quorum of the planning commission listening in, and then on procedural grounds later, the whole thing gets blown out. So, yeah, if you could give us really careful guidance on that, on what we should do. Yeah, thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. And so, Roger, we should expect some communication before that scheduled meeting from you or from from Growth Management?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, we will have you guidance by tomorrow because the meeting is actually next Tuesday. So by tomorrow afternoon, we will have something sent out.
Great. Okay, so anything else from staff?
No, the next meeting will be November the 21st. I just remind y'all of ex parte communications, so y'all cannot talk to community members about AES or any of that involved.
Thank you. Okay, so meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.